G'day everybody and welcome back to another exciting episode of Spitting Bricks with Jono. I'm here with Peter Jensen from the home of Lego in Denmark, where he appeared on season 2 of Lego Masters over there. Not only that though, he's travelled into another country. He went to Australia and appeared on Australian Lego Masters. Welcome Peter, how are you?
No, I'm great, thank you. And you? I think it's different
Thank you
weather
very much
here.
for joining us.
It's definitely different weather here in Denmark than in your place.
Yeah, what have you got going on? Is it you must be in winter still? Yeah?
We have like I think minus 2 degrees Celsius at the moment.
We had a day of 29 degrees Celsius today. So yes, quite a bit different. It's really great to have you here. I guess I'll start with So how did you first get into Lego?
Oh, into Lego. I think I live in Denmark, so we've always just had Lego around, and I have two bigger siblings, and there was just always some Lego. But I think I was the one who did most of it as a kid, and then I went into my dark ages like everyone else. Girls were more interesting and all that. So it just became my dark age and then in the start of 21 I returned to I bought some Lego for my stepdaughter, and it just went from there. And then I wrote to Ida when I saw they were looking for participants for Lego Masters, and she was like, "Oh, I want to do this, but my husband can't do it. So would you do it?" And I was like, "Well, but I don't build Lego either." And then it was just an excuse to hang out and make a submission for participating. And then one thing led to the other, and we went to the casting. Was like, well, this will be fun. We won't get in, but it will be fun. And then we got on the show and was like, well,
it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's the first 2 episodes. Then we're probably the first to go home, and we wasn't. And then suddenly we were in the finals, and we're like, how did this happen? Yeah. And then last summer, the Lego producer wrote us and asked if we had the opportunity, the possibility to go to Australia, and we were like, well, we might do that. And then, suddenly on the other side of the world.
Well, there goes that question. So would you ever do it again? You did it again. Like,
We did it again.
It was that good you decided to do it again.
But
in another country, no less.
I would say we have decided that when USA calls, it will be a no, thank you. It was just too rough being away from home.
Yeah. How long were you away from home for?
6 weeks in Australia, and it's like 10-12 hours time difference. So it's
intense 6 weeks,
and the time difference also makes it to keep connecting at home and all that. So yeah.
So wow. So how was having been on 2 different shows? How were they culturally or like production wise? How were they different?
I would say personally I preferred the Danish production because Denmark is such a small country, so we could just go home for the weekends. We had 3 or 4 days of recording, and then went home for the weekend and came back on Sunday and were ready Monday morning. And then it was nice having that flexibility. But there was also things like the brick pits were much more sorted in Denmark than they were in Australia. The way the production worked was different, because in Denmark we would always go into the studio and have like, oh, now you have to build for 2 hours and then we have a break. Cool. In Australia, it was more like, well, go in there and we'll tell you when the break is. And yeah, I definitely preferred having all the knowledge that was possible to just manage your time and all that.
Yeah. The New Zealand one was very much like the Australian one sounds.
Yeah, I think it
was like,
it's the same production.
now we're going to do this and then start building. Okay, building.
Yeah.
On their own clock.
I actually asked them to just
how building
sometimes to just could you just tell us 5 minutes before the break so we could get done with what we're doing instead of just in 10 seconds we'll have a break. Yeah. So but they
so
never.
I was halfway through a thought and you're gonna
yeah. But they never really managed to do that for us.
I describe Lego Masters like it's like going to Lego University. I think I upskilled during that show. Just I think I can watch the show and see my journey as a Lego builder. How has your building style or technique evolved since your appearance on both shows?
Oh, it has definitely evolved, but starting from almost zero before going into the show, there was potential. But I definitely, I think I have a list on the Danish show where we just, on episode 1, this was our takeaway and what we learned from here. And then we just kept on learning stuff and being better at building Lego all the way to the finals. It was actually really nice to get to Australia and just be able to take that, this was where we were in the finals in Denmark. This is where we start off now. It was a really cool experience to just knowing that, we can actually do this and we actually belong here. And because let's face it, imposter syndrome is real. It's definitely something that you just you don't think you belong there, and all the others are just so amazing. You can't do this, that, but we actually came to Australia and felt like, okay, we might belong here after all. So yeah. But
that's cool. Well, you got invited to another country.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But in terms of
your
technique and all that, it's definitely something that has evolved since going on the show. Just being able to build larger stuff and not being afraid of building, because it's just Lego. You can always put it back together and pull it apart or everything of that sort. So just build and have fun with it. Yeah.
And I found building fast and at scale became something that you got better at. I think the first build, we were all doing real tiny fiddly little stuff, right? And by the time you finished, it's like this size because you're just like, I know what I can build. I know how quickly I can get shape and stuff. So was there any particular build? Because I haven't actually seen the Australian one either. I could probably find that somewhere online. I haven't seen either of your seasons. I need to find those. But is there a particular build or a challenge or thing that you found quite daunting, and how did you overcome it? And especially in the pressure cooker of being on camera, like being in a studio with lights and people and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I would say being in the studio was because that's where I learned to build Lego again, really, as an adult. So going in and just building in that environment was just, I've never learned to build for exhibitions or build for Instagram photos or anything. I've learned to build for Lego Masters, and that's a discipline in itself. So for me, it was like, well, this is how I build Lego now. Of course, I've evolved outside of Lego Masters and just I can do other stuff now, but it's a whole other skill set that you need for Lego Masters. You have to build big. You have to think of stories that are easy to comprehend and that are not too elaborate, or you just have to build one or two simple stories that is easy to see when you look at it within the first 10 seconds. So there's just all those things that I've learned through the show is something that for me is important in Lego builds.
So, what inspires you? Like, where do you draw your inspiration from?
I would say for me, it's almost story first. You have to tell a story, because if you don't tell a story
first,
it doesn't really matter. I have deeply respect for people who build architecture or houses and all that, but for me, it doesn't matter if there's not any life in there. So for me, it's almost always a story or a funny thing. It might be a pun that can inspire. For instance, I
love a good pun.
This song that was about hip hoppopotamus, hip hoppotamus. So it was like, oh, that's funny. Let's build that. So there's all those funny things. That's for me is important.
There was a Kiwi. That's Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, exactly.
That hip hoppopotamus is Flight of the Conchords, and there are a couple of Kiwis.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you draw? Do you sketch before you build, or do you just go straight into the bricks?
It depends. It depends very much on what I'm doing. Sometimes I do a digital building. If I need like 1,000 of one piece, I would do it digitally because I don't have that. But most often I just build with what I have, and that's also actually something that I'm trying to push people to think of when they build. Just build with what you have. Don't make it a breaking point that, oh, I can't build this because I don't have 1,000 bricks, or I don't have 10,000 of these, or whatever. Just build with whatever you have and keep it small.
It's funny.
Instead of building a castle, build a watchtower.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because half the problem that we had on Lego Masters when we got there is we went into the brick pit looking for parts that were in our collection, because we knew we could solve the problem if we had that part. But then you go to the brick pit and it's like, wow, there's a lot fewer parts in here than I thought there were going to be.
Yeah. That's
it's sort of like
in the brick pit.
The limitation. You just have to use what you've got.
Yeah.
So even in the brick pit with all those bricks, there's still limitation, and that actually inspires some of the best creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing if you've only ever built on Lego Masters, then you would have had to learn the structural integrity as you go with the bigger builds. How has that been a challenge for you?
What was that? Integrity? Nah, we don't do that.
Like, how do you balance creativity with the because once you start building in scale, Lego gets really large and heavy, and how do you balance the creativity with the structural integrity of the larger builds?
Yeah, but we don't really do we do that because the thing you said, it's just you have to hold up, and if it doesn't hold up, it breaks apart. So you have to build in there. For instance, in the Australian show, we built a rocket with a penguin on top of it for the first challenge that had through ice, and it was just it really needed to have that sturdiness, but we know how to do it because we could just put Technic beams inside it and all that. So it's something that you just learn along the way. But for me, it doesn't have to hold up that much if it doesn't solve the problem at hand. So if you just have to sit there and look nice, it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I first started building, the first thing I took to a show, I had to drive it 2.5 hours to get there. So I had to think about how it was going to be transported. you know, before I even thought about building it. And that's something that you don't actually think about on Lego Masters. It just hold together for the sake of that, like 30 seconds worth of video shot, and then then it has to fall apart again. It's fine.
We actually did that on the Danish show in our final build. We knew that it was gonna be exhibited at Lego House, so we knew that it would have to be transported.
Yeah.
So we deliberately built ours in modulars, so we just could pull it apart and just it was easy for the guys who had to transport it. And in the Australian show, we did the same thing. There's a challenge where we have to go to a mall and install our Lego build in a shop window, and we did the same thing. Just it has to be easy to transport, so we just made it modular, so it was easy to move around. Yeah.
So you've been on 2 seasons of Lego Masters. So what's the most memorable moment on the show for you?
I think there's a lot of memorable things on the show, but yeah, I think going to the final in Denmark, it was like mind blowing, and what are we doing here? So that was really, really exceptional for us, and we didn't expect it.
In what way? Like when you
Well,
or like
going home from the semifinals, we looked at each other and were like, well, now we're here in the finals. What are we gonna build? And where all the other competitors were like, they had plans if they went to the finals what they would build, and we were like, well, now we have to figure something out.
Yeah.
And so
you didn't think you were going to make it that far, so you hadn't thought about it.
Not at all. Yeah, but I would say we had a special episode that was the shop window one in Australia, where we had to work together with another team, our boys from Australia, and it was super fun and memorable because we went into that to the Australian show wanting to teach as much as we could to the newcomers to the show, because we had all the experience and we wanted to make the best show ever. So we just had to learn them, to teach them as much as we could. And yeah.
I thought that was a bit unfair of them. Like, how could you put seasoned Lego masters against complete newbies in that scenario? That's just cruel. I can't believe they did that.
It felt kind of unfair. It did. But then again, it was just the premise of the show.
Yeah, I thought so.
Because building on Lego Masters is, like I said, it's a special skill set, and we've honed in on that because that's just what we build. Yeah.
It's one thing to build Lego, but it's another thing whenever there's like a mistake or anything, and you got a half a dozen cameras all running around pointed at you because they're looking, and it's just like being watched all the time. It's really spooky.
Yeah, it is.
So how did you handle the time constraints in the show, like the deadlines and the times? How did you guys go with that?
Oh, I would say the shorter the time, the more pressure is on. We had in the Danish season, we had one challenge that was just 2 hours, I think, where we had to build an insect in 2 hours. And in 2 hours, that's not a lot of time, but it's not as much the time constraint.
It's not.
If you go down one route, you can't change it, because 1 hour in, I found out that, I'm building this way too big. Sorry, I can't change anything. So I just had to make something, and that was really stressful, but a great lesson in time management, definitely. So yeah.
So are there any behind the scenes moments or interactions? You said before that you were trying to help the people that hadn't been on Lego Masters. Like what kind of advice were you giving them? What kind of advice would you give anybody going to go to Lego Masters?
It was just stuff like, remember to have a clear story and don't have too many things going on, and remember how the silhouette looks in the cameras, and all those things that you wouldn't think of necessarily when you've built outside of Lego Masters.
Yeah.
Because building for an exhibition,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, yeah, there has to be a lot of small stories, and they have to look at the build and just find all the small stuff." Yeah, you can't do that on Lego Masters. Just have one clear story, maybe 2 or 3 side stories. That's it. So stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, 100%. So, beyond the show, how has Lego impacted your life?
Oh, I think it's a great thing to have that third thing that you can connect with people with. Connecting with other Lego Masters, and when you're at shows, you have something to talk to people about. I think that's great. It has definitely brought
Yes.
Ida and me closer together as friends, and that's a good thing. But yeah, I think it's just a nice thing to do, and just be part of a community around Lego. I think that's super nice.
And it's a very wholesome hobby.
It
It's
is
very creative and exciting, and yeah.
There's definitely.
I think one of the things I love the most.
Oh,
There you go.
no, you just do say something.
I think one of the things I enjoy now is going to a show and then being asked if I can judge some of the work, from the newcomers and that. And then, I just go around and look at the work and, just choose my favorites. And then afterwards they come up to me and they talk to me about it, and I get to hear some wonderful stories. And then they ask me how I would, and I just kind of, I get to be like what our brickmaster was to us, but just to help guide them to become better Lego builders. And I love that part.
I
Excuse me.
I hate
But
judging.
excuse me.
I hate judging people because I see so much good in all builds. But yeah,
It's so hard. It's so hard. And because it's such a personal thing, everybody's put their personal like whatever into their build that I think it's fascinating to see what other people see in your builds. Like if you're at a show or a table and you've got something, the different people notice different things, and it's quite indicative of it gives you a little bit of insight into their personality, just a little glimpse.
yeah, it's definitely question
Excuse me.
when looking at Lego, because what I find fascinating, I love smaller builds and just builds that has those nice part usage, or that has a fun story or twist on something. I love that. Whereas,
Here's a little build for you.
yeah, that's nice.
It's like 3 bricks. That was a nice story.
But yeah, it's just there's different stuff that talks to different people, and yeah.
Yep. So what role do you think Lego plays in fostering creativity? I mean, you're in the home of Lego, Denmark. Like, obviously, it's a path. What do you have Lego, like a particular Lego year at school where you have to do Lego courses, or like is it?
Oh no, not really. But I think it's because it comes from Denmark. So every child in Denmark has had something to do
Yep.
with Lego at some point. At least in my generation. I don't know if it's that much more anymore, but
Yeah.
everyone has some kind of connection, or have an aunt who worked at Lego or something. So there's always that. It's just part of, I think, the Danish cultural thing, whereas Lego is just something that we are proud of and that has been in most childhood. But oh, sorry, what was the question again? Oh,
So how do you think that Lego fosters creativity and problem solving?
yeah, I think it's great because it has a system to work within, and that just makes it
Yep.
that's the key point, I think, because for me Lego is just a creative medium as anything else. You could build with clay or doing woodwork or whatever, but Lego has this system that makes it easy to go into, and it has a low point of entry in terms of
It's
feeling.
quite iterative and
Yeah, you don't have to have that many skills to put bricks together to start with, but then you can.
it's good for prototyping.
Yeah, and you everyone can put two bricks together, but when you just get into it, you can put them together in so many ways and find new exciting ways to put them together, and that's a great thing for creative thinking.
So what mental health benefits have you noticed from Lego? Like winding down after a long day, or just kind of like helping you focus? Like
I think for me, it's more recreational. It's something that I do
recreation.
when I find the time and just having that creative outlet. And I like the touch of Lego bricks and just that tactile feeling when building with it. It's soothing for me.
And that's sound,
It's what?
the rustling of bricks.
And it's
The sound of scratching around in a box of bricks.
yeah, but it's just super nice, and that's what it is for me. Um, Surely being a Lego master has also been a mental stress factor for me and all that, but that's another story because that's the TV side of it. That's not really Lego. But I think it's just nice to have
No, that's not
something
really Lego.
that you can connect with people with via the Lego bricks.
Yeah. And so, do you build for shows nowadays? I mean, you've got stuff in Lego House, and you've obviously had some stuff in the malls. But do you do anything for the Lego shows now?
There's not that many shows in Denmark. I think I've been at Skærbæk 2 times, and yeah, but I have had a model exhibited at Legoland in Billund, and also had one at Lego Campus,
Nice.
or several models at Lego Campus
Cool.
a couple of years ago, and then our final build was at Lego House. So I have exhibited, but I try to go to shows, but yeah, since there's not that many and it has to match the family time and work time, and so it's not that much.
Fair enough. So, what advice would you give to anyone trying to improve their Lego building skills? You said earlier about limiting the number of bricks or being creative with your bricks. What other tips would you give people?
Well, I would definitely recommend people doing polybag challenges. That's what I've been doing for the last 2-3 years. I'll just bring out the two polybags, mix them together, and build something. And then when I've built with them for a week or two or a month or something, add in another bag, and then just go up to 5 bags, and yeah, building with that. That's a low point of entry and just super interesting to see what you come up with and find new connections and having two colors up against each other. So this inspires me to do this, because you can always take the skills you learn in that exercise out in the real world.
I always try and tell people to get and buy themselves a 3-in-1, build the 3, and then build a 4th.
Yeah, that's also a great exercise.
Yeah. So, have you used Lego in any educational settings or workshops?
Yeah, I've had a class at the youth school, in the local youth school.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, and been in on several events for them. So it's not much, but there has been some workshops and stuff. Yeah.
Good. And what are your future projects or aspirations with Lego? What would you like to build next?
Oh, I don't know. It depends on what hits me. I think the last couple of months I've been building army building, because I think that's what's taking with me right now. But it could be really anything. Yeah. It very much depends on
What kind of armies are you building?
Oh, it's the new Wolfpack guy. He's pretty cool. It really started there, but
You mean that guy?
yeah, but
Yeah, I've been playing with the Wolfpack guys.
yeah, but it's also just making small factions for fantasy groups or something. That's what I've been
Yeah.
working with for the last month, I think. But that's just because I find that funny right now. It
Cool.
could be really anything.
I think I like it when you get like a handful of minifigs with their expressions and you pose them in a cool scene. Like some of the Lego photography, minifig photography online is just amazing, and some of it's very funny.
It has inspired me very much.
Some very talented people
lately. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you see the future of Lego? Like, what innovations do you see happening in the future of Lego? Are we going to get more robotics? Are we going to get AI? AI Lego?
For me or for the company?
Oh, for what like if you could imagine what it's going to be like, and since it's evolved so much since we were kids,
I think they would.
What's the future
I
hold?
think they will probably keep going with the adult audience a lot more, because it's
Yeah.
money is at the moment. But I do hope that they will bring back
Yes.
like some classic sets for kids, like the castle medieval settings. I would love to see that and be able to play with my kids with those sets. So that's what I'm hoping.
They keep teasing us,
but I don't really know
with it.
Yeah, and I think they will do more board games. I hope at least they will do more board games. They had one board game coming out
Yeah.
Christmas, and I'm a
new banana one or the monkey one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done board game designs myself. So if they give me a call and say, "Hey, come join us," I'll do that. But yeah, no, it was just on a hobby level. But I definitely could see they do adult board gaming as a thing in the future.
Yeah, I like I quite enjoy Creationary. I think that's cool. I've got a couple of copies of that game, and I like that, busting that every once in a while. That's quite a neat game.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So what's the funniest or most unexpected I don't know, Lego moment you've had?
I can't really tell. I think there's just been so many things going on the show. It might actually be on episode 5 in Australia. We did a robot battle. We had to build a robot and they had to fight each other in an arena. That was quite quite intense. So that's definitely
how did you get attached to your little robots? Were you quite did they get injured and you get upset when they got injured? I'd be getting upset, I think.
Yeah, it's just Lego. You could put it back together, but yeah, it was definitely it was quite a battle, and it was super fun, and yeah, and we actually won that episode, which came as a surprise because we were like,
Nice.
We don't do Lego Technics or anything with motors, but apparently
Maybe that was the secret.
yeah.
Is there you said you had a Dark Ages. Is there a set you remember from your childhood? And what set got you out of your Dark Ages? Did you buy any Lego or did you just go straight onto the show?
Um, I have a memory of this red Fabuland aeroplane with a seagull, I think, in it.
Yeah.
I think that was the first set that was mine, that I was given, and not just something that I I had from my big siblings. But what got me into Lego again, I think that was really just a big pile of Lego. No sets, no. It was just rummaging around in that pile, and was like, oh, now I remember what I liked about Lego, and from there it was just, let's start building.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd much rather have a pile of bricks than a set of instructions. There's just something about getting a piece and going, that looks like and next minute you've got one.
Yeah. Yeah, or if I have to build this, how would I go about doing that? And then just putting bricks on and off until you got it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate hearing your perspective. Would you ever do it again? Would you ever go back for a third season on Lego Masters?
Actually, Ida and me talked about it and was like, well, when USA calls, it'll be a no thank you. Because it's just...
It'll be a no thank you. But yeah, what if New Zealand called? Or what if it was like England or somewhere closer to home?
Yeah, I think it would be a pass. Really, I think if the Danish Lego Masters
fair enough. You've done
were
your dash. Oh well, I mean, good on you. Two seasons, two countries. I mean, that's a pretty good effort.
Actually,
that's a pretty good effort.
When we did Lego Masters in Denmark, we were like, in the first week, we found out that they had just recorded the the Christmas special in Denmark, and we were like, oh, we can't build Lego,
right.
But if we just make a splash of ourselves, it will be... They might look at us and say they want us back on the show to build with celebrities or something. That would be fun. So that was our initial take on just going to the show and just be fabulous. And then, and then it never came in Denmark. A second Christmas special never occurred in Denmark. So we still hope that they will reboot the show in Denmark, and we might get back on.
There's still a possibility. You never know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your time. I really appreciate you spending and sharing your story with us. And I look forward to catching up with you again.
Yeah.
Until then, just remember to grab life by the bricks. Awesome. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.